Welcome to the Shed and Shine podcast. I am Gino Wickman. This is where Rob Dubé and I help driven entrepreneurs shed their shit, free their true selves, unlock true entrepreneurial freedom, and shine. We truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, and we hope to make a huge impact on you. So this episode I call 8 Things to Make You Go, Huh, or Huh. I was considering calling this episode Potpourri. I also considered calling it Everything But the Kitchen Sink. And so what this is this is a collection of thoughts or ahas that are not long enough to be episodes on their own. And so what I do, every week is I have thoughts, and when I believe it'll make a great riff for you, I jot it down. And so I have this laundry list of ideas, and many of them are 10 to 20 minutes long. And so it's the perfect episode, full episode. And what I realized with these that have been kind of building and lingering for a while, they're only like 1, 2, 3 minute insights, ahas, thoughts. And so I just want to give them all to you in one fell swoop. My guess is they'll all fit into one episode. There's a chance this will get split into a part 1, part 2, if it takes longer than a typical episode. Typical episodes are 10 to 20 minutes. And so I'm just going to take them one at a time. Have no idea how long they will be, but we will see. And the idea here is at the end of each one, when I share it with you, if you just went, huh, then I have done my job and achieved my goal. And so here we go with number 1, which I call expanding and contracting. And so again, these are ahas, thoughts that come to me that I learned, that I keep hearing over and over sometimes, so I start to see patterns and trends. And this one is definitely a pattern and a trend that just keeps getting clearer and clearer and clearer in these last 4 years, but especially in this last year. And so again, expanding and contracting. And so what I'm learning on this journey of finding peace and making a bigger impact, and I'm hoping you're starting to see this so that you can at least have some peace of mind and know what's going on, I realize is that we are either expanding or we're contracting. It's this ever-present thing that's happening to us as we continue to shed and grow and find that peace and joy and fulfillment in our life. And so again, we're always expanding, we're always contracting. Another way to think about it is we're either open or we're closed. And so the idea here is to just be aware. And so what's happening for me is I'm starting to realize when I'm open, and that's when I'm expanding, and then I'm starting to notice when I close up for some reason why I start to contract. And so it's in meditations, I notice this, in interactions with people, I notice this. And so it's very powerful. The beauty and what I'm hoping to accomplish by sharing this awareness with you is to understand that it is okay. It's okay. It's normal. It's actually part of the growth. And so it's really funny because another way to look at it is love and fear. And so again, when we're pure love and we're coming from love, we're expanding. When that fear kicks in, we're contracting. And so I realized, and I shared this with our mastermind last session, and I had this incredible run of like a 2 or 3 week just open, expanding, love, peace, bliss, just run of floating. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And it had to be about 4 days of just contracting, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, it's over. My run is over. This doesn't last forever. And so there's that fear kicking in and, beating myself up and trying to understand it. And then all of a sudden, after those 4 days, boom, there it was again. I opened up and I was expanding. So how much of it I control and don't control, I don't know. I think we have some control over it. I don't think that's the right word, control, but it's a matter of just staying open. It's all awareness. I realize, though, it's okay to contract. And I actually think it's all part of growth. I think it's showing us something. I think it's teaching us something. I think it's all about these growth spurts, just like the way the human body grows. And then these contraction periods where we're getting ready for the next level of growth. And my dad always teaches 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And so that's, an outer world example of people growing and building and whatever it is that you're growing. But as long as you're going 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, you're moving in the right direction. I think that's what's happening. I think we expand a little bit and then we contract a little bit less, and then we expand a little bit. And again, as long as that expansion keeps growing, then we're heading in the right direction. So there's the thought and aha that's been rolling around in my head for a little while now. Let's go to number 2. And so number 2, thought aha, that didn't make the cut for a full episode is what I call waking up. Okay. And so waking up is what's happening for a lot of us out there. It's what happened to me 4 years ago. And so Rob and I talk about, pinging your souls and piercing the shield and letting a little light in or a little light out. And that's that moment where you start to realize there's just something more going on here. And so for me, 4 years ago, it was quite painful. In other words, I felt this yearning. I felt like there was something more. I felt like, I don't know what it was. I just wasn't being my full self. And something was calling me. Something was just knocking. And then all of a sudden, I just had this aha and the awakening, and it all came rushing up. But nonetheless, the point here is about waking up. And for those of you out there that are waking up where this message is resonating, or maybe you woke up 10 and 20 years ago, maybe you're about to wake up, but a couple thoughts on this. Few things came clear to me on this topic. And the biggest one that hit me was watching a video clip on YouTube of Jim Carrey. And so you can watch this video. It's a really short clip. It's kind of everywhere. It's been seen many, many times. But what he was talking about is the subject was about depression. And so I don't want to call this depression because it's beautiful how he describes that it's almost really not depression. It just, it gives us the feeling of being depressed. But what he talked about in that state when you're feeling that, and so again, that's for me 4 years ago, the tectonic plates were shifting. Something felt so uneasy. You could even call that depression. But what he said is when that is happening, and again, I'm going to correlate that to waking up. What he said is he says, that's your body saying, fuck you. I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar you've created for me in the world. It's too much for me. And so those are his exact words in the video, and I've got chills head to toe right now sharing that with you, because what I believe and why that's so powerful to me is, again, that is just our true self, our soul knocking, saying it's time to be your true self. And so when he talks about the character or the avatar, that is what our ego created. Again, for me at age 15, I figured out how to create this perfect image, this suit of armor to protect me from the world. And for 35 years, it served me well in my outer world. But all of a sudden, my true self said, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that my ego created for the world. And so hopefully that part makes sense. A couple other little nuggets on that. It's like the Matrix, it's the red pill and the blue pill. And so when Neo was in the Matrix, he just knew there was something more going on. There was something he was feeling. And obviously, he finally took the red pill and saw life for what it really is. And so he was pinged, if you will. What I'm also describing is something called the illusion, or Maya, in Eastern Indian spiritual teachings. But again, it's this ego structure that we create that has us in a prison, that at some point our true self just simply says enough. And it's that moment that you start to see life as it really is. And again, I call that waking up. Number 3, This one I call Why I Tell My Inner Story. And so for now 2 years, I've been telling my inner story. And as you may recall, I don't love telling my inner story. It's not enjoyable telling my inner story, but I am called to tell my inner story. So I'm not recommending to you out there that you write a book with your inner story unless you're called to, or tell thousands of people your inner story. But I am just simply called to. And what I'm noticing in these last 2 years of sharing it is when I tell my inner story, a lot of the time, and it feels like almost half the time, people will say to me, "Oh, you're so brave. Thank you for sharing your inner story." And so they're coming up to me focused on me. And I want to make it really clear for the half of you out there, and that is I'm sharing my inner story, not so that you can feel sorry for me. And I'm telling my inner story to kind of turn it on you. So letting the cat out of the bag. What I'm hoping to do is be bold and brave and vulnerable enough to tell you my inner story, to ping you so that you will tell your inner story, so that you will write your inner story, so that you will go inside and understand your inner story. Now, again, you don't have to tell it to the world. What Rob and I recommend is that you just find someone in your life that you love and trust and just simply share it with them to get it out of you. And so that's the reason I do it, is to turn it on you, hopefully motivate you to do the same thing, and then share it with someone in your life. And then if you're called to share it with more, then amen and hallelujah, go ahead and do that. And so that is number 3. On to number 4. Number 4, I call shedding the past. And so obviously in this podcast, and part of our mission is to help you shed and shine, hence the name of this podcast. As we lovingly say, shed your shit and shine. And so it's all about shedding. And what you'll notice on the journey is most of what you're shedding is from the past. And so the aha here, this is probably the shortest insight or aha in this podcast episode, but it's an aha that I had literally just a month or two ago. And so I have spent, the last 4 years shedding a lot of the past and feeling a lot of past pain, because remember, when you shed a layer, there will be tears, and it typically comes up as painful as it went down. But what I've now learned, and I hope this is true, I'm only giving you 2 months of evidence, but what I'm starting to see happen is there comes a point when you have shed everything from the past, and you literally just start going forward from there. You don't have to wallow in it forever. And there was a point that I really thought that was going to happen. I've been told by people that that's not what's going to happen, and I'm starting to see it happen where it's rare now that I'm shedding something from the past, and there's even this energetic feel of like it's all going forward. And then I don't want to get too heavy on this part, but as I start to shift forward, it's like there is no forward. It's just like the here and now. But the point is, it's no longer about the past. And so the good news is, for those of you that aren't there yet, it's possible to shed it all from the past and go forward. And I'm also compelled to remind you, we wrote this in the book, and I share it often, is that I believe there are people that once they understand this concept of your true self trapped in that cocoon that is your ego, and that's all the blocked energy and the past that you need to shed. Once they understand it, I believe there are people, 1 out of a million, that will shed it all in a minute and be able to just kind of move forward or be in the present, if you will. So there's number 4, shedding the past. All right, well, as I predicted, we've gotten through number 4. And looking at the clock, we are not going to be able to get all 8 into one episode. So we're going to do a part 1 and a part 2. And so this completes part 1. And on my next Riff episode, we'll pick up with number 5 and part 2. Thank you for listening in today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, and please tune in for the next episode. Until then, if you'd like to see where you are on your true self journey, go to shedandshinepodcast.com to take the true self assessment and receive personalized guidance. If you're all ready to begin your inner world journey with Rob and myself, please join us for the next round of the 10 Disciplines Group Coaching Program. We wish you all the best in freeing your true self. Stay focused and much love.